Welcome, everybody, to the Resistance broadcast. I'm John. Thank you for joining us today. We are live on a Thursday night. The Game Awards are currently happening. And just so you know, if you are joining us live, we're going to be doing a live reaction to the footage for Jedi Survivor. If you are an audio listener listening on your favorite podcast app, first of all, thank you. Just so you know that that reaction will be exclusively on our YouTube channel. So go to youtube.com/@theResistanceBroadcast. And as I bring that up, just make sure everyone, whether you're joining us live now, thank you, by the way, hello, all of you, hello, or listening on podcasts, make sure you subscribe to the new channel, because we really are trying to get that up to that 1,000 subscriber milestone. So if you are watching now live, make sure you're subscribed, of course, like the video, leave comments, and enjoy yourselves in the chat. And whether you're listening or watching, just have a good time, because we have a great show today. We're going to talk about the latest Star Wars news and have a good time, as we always do. And with me, as always, is James and Lacey. So, Lacey, you got the Christmas stuff up. I see the lights back there. It looks like... Who is that? What happened to your other Grogu? Did he get put on like in a box somewhere? What's happening?
So Grogu has disappeared because my daughter took him, and he now lives in her playpen downstairs. They're buddies, and is her toy now. So it's happened. People asked before I had a baby if my toys would go to the baby. It's happened, and I didn't even force it. She did it all on her own. She came into the office, pointed at it, wanted it, and then it became hers. So he's downstairs, but I still have BB-8, and I have a pink Christmas tree. I'm pointing backwards. Christmas tree here, which has Grogu on it. I do have another Mando ornament that is not in it yet, but there's like Darth Vader, Kylo Ren, Stormtrooper.
There's a lot going on.
Kylo Ren in a holiday sweater here, which is hilarious. And then Christmas lights in the background.
There is a lot going on there. James, the noble worker that he is doing some behind the scenes stuff as he's here. So just want to say, how you doing, buddy? Doing all right?
Yeah, I am always working. I think like for the more recently, as we've switched
You're watching soccer. I know it.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah, we just lost we are headed home, guys.
The Gold Cup is over.
Yeah. No, I'm always ever since we switched over to the channel, I'm always like, or to the new channel, I'm always like focused on this other thing, like constantly doing things for the show.
Yes, indeed. So we're going to keep our eye on those Game Awards. James is going to keep his right eye on those and his left eye on us. And we are going to react to that live here if you're watching live. But again, if you're listening on audio... I was going to say,
James, do you have the ability to do that,
the googly eye?
No.
The Steve Buscemi from
Could you
Mr.
imagine
Deeds?
if he could just do that? Like if he just all of a sudden was like, got it.
Yeah.
I could do the opposite. I could keep my left eye looking right and my right eye looking left by crossing my eyes, but
cross eyes, yeah. All right. Let us get this show on the road. Looks like the chat is already partying away, which is great. So thank you to everyone who has joined us. A lot of news to get into here. So, James, why don't we get into this little thing we call the Resistance Report?
It's the Resistance.
Now, I don't know who's been paying attention to the news this week, but if you are a fan of superhero films or fall into that bubble of Marvel and DC, you probably saw that Wonder Woman 3. I don't know how to put this. You know, I guess you could say it was scrapped by DC, but it's one of those things where reportedly they are not moving forward with what would have been Wonder Woman 3. Now, there's a lot going into that as far as like what you can look at when it comes to James Gunn and what he said. And he said, hey, we have a lot of stuff. We have a good brain trust over here. So just follow us on what we're doing with this. So it might not be the last we see of Wonder Woman, the character, but it looks like as of now that movie is scrapped. Even though, did I hear this correctly? Patty Jenkins did already turn in a script and things were working towards making that happen. So
yeah,
if that movie is not happening, our first story is, what else is Patty Jenkins doing now? Is what does this mean for Rogue Squadron, which was kind of off the shelf because there was scheduling conflicts and clashes, and she was busy doing these other things, and she had that as first dibs kind of thing. And so what does this mean now for Rogue Squadron? I guess we'll start. Actually, you want to start, Lacey, this one? Because I know you're probably more passionate about the whole Wonder Woman thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest. So I saw the first one a billion times. I own it. I love it. The second one I didn't see because it was on HBO Max or whatever that service is that I don't have. It came out during 2020, right? 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
And I couldn't go to the
Yeah.
movie theater at the time because it was just like, I don't know, sketchy to go to the movie theater with COVID and everything. So I never saw it. I just didn't get around to it. And then I'm sure everybody has those lists of things they want to watch, and it just kind of slowly slips to the bottom. So I haven't seen the second one, 1984. But I know you guys have, and you have told me before that you didn't really like it. And I trust your judgment. We talk multiple hours every week about movies and stuff, and we have similar interests here and there about obviously what we like and don't like about Star Wars. So I'm sure that bleeds over to other things as well. And so I haven't seen the second one, but I've heard overwhelmingly from everyone, including my family members that have seen it, that they didn't like it. That being said, Wonder Woman as a character is super important to me. And the first movie alone, like that scene where she's crossing kind of the field in World War II, it's just like crazy emotional for me in the movie theater because I was like, I've never seen this before, where a woman just kind of like takes that on and is
No Man's Land or Dead Man?
Yes, No Man's Land, I think. Yeah. And I think that's the name of the song too on the soundtrack, actually, because I was like really into the soundtrack when it came out. So, based on that, I was the one on this podcast when we had a question of like, what director do you want to see do a Star Wars movie? I was the first person to be like, Patty Jenkins, absolutely, 100%. And when she announced herself for Rogue Squadron with that amazing kind of Top Gun-esque video, the three of us were pumped. We were so excited that this was happening, and it was so well done, and it was just like really cool and different. And we thought that, hey, that probably would have been shown at Celebration as like this big pop moment of energy and craziness and excitement. So it kind of sucks that that didn't happen. But now, after it's gotten pretty much removed from development, and then you're hearing this, all I can think is I feel really bad for Patty Jenkins because I feel like she's having a very bad year. And I don't think she's not capable of doing amazing things. We've seen her do amazing things with Wonder Woman 1 and 2, if you like 1984. It just makes me sad because I read the article about James Gunn and Peter Safran is his name, I believe, going to Aspen, Colorado to like rethink DC's movies. And I was like, wow, first of all, I'd love to go to Aspen, Colorado to have meetings and just like chill out and talk about like what movie should we make? Like what a life to live. But to hear that, I think she's having a really tough year, but I don't think that means that Rogue Squadron's coming back. I would hope that Lucasfilm would call her and be like, hey, we hear you're now free. Let's chat again. But I don't know if that would happen right now. It just kind of feels to me there's like this overwhelming sense from Disney and Marvel and Lucasfilm and WB and like all these kind of entertainment companies, whether it's Netflix, whatever. They're really pivoting. They're pivoting their plans moving forward for like what movies they're making, what shows they're making, when things are coming out. I mean, Bad Batch trailer on the Star Wars website says fall 2022 on it. Why wouldn't you remove that before putting it up there? But it just feels like everybody's kind of shifting their plans. And I don't know if it's a good thing for fans or a bad thing for fans yet. And I don't think we're going to see those repercussions for at least a year or two. Makes me sad though. Overall.
I don't envy James Gunn and Peter Safran's position right now, aside from the money they're making being CEOs of DC. But
right. And also being creatives, executives in a creative space is people are going to take it personally. People aren't just saying like, oh, this is a job, that's it. Like you're talking about someone that put their heart and soul into even a creative brief, like what this character is, what's going to happen. That's a very personal thing. Just like it's personal on our end to watch it and take it in as media. So
yeah. John, you're right. Like, I don't envy James Gunn in the situation. I wouldn't want to be in that position. But if I was James Gunn, I would look at this as an opportunity to be DC's Kevin Feige.
Well, he is essentially.
I mean, he is right now, but he's not yet. Like, let's be honest. So if he steers the ship, corrects everything, and gets DC on that path that is like that connected thing that he has said, he said publicly he's not looking at what did he say? Oh, he's not looking at Marvel. He's looking at Star Wars. He goes, he wants to do with DC what Star Wars is doing, where everything's connected and all in one thing. If he can get that going, then he's DC's Kevin Feige.
Well, he is DC's Kevin Feige. He just hasn't done it yet.
I know. Well, yeah, but he could fail horribly.
But he's in the same job, is what I'm saying. He has the same role. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to say.
Yes. No, I get that, but I'm saying he's not in spirit because you are not DC's Kevin Feige.
No, Kobe Bryant wasn't Michael Jordan in 1998. We'll see what I trust James Gunn. He seems like one of those guys who just always seems to churn out good stuff. Like the Guardians trilogy is some of the best Marvel stuff.
Don't forget too, what's crazy about that is
we haven't seen the third one yet, but you know what I mean.
You've seen the holiday special too, but like
I like that too. Yeah,
and
I haven't seen that yet. I have to get to that.
Which is not him, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The thing about the space that he's in right now too is that it does currently have his foot in both worlds. Like, he is working for Marvel still, and also he's heading DC, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So good on him. When this comes back to Patty Jenkins, I mean, we talked about this before, but she doesn't do a lot. And I don't know what that means for Rogue Squadron. Like, oh, her schedule's free. Of course she's going to do Rogue Squadron. She might not, even though her schedule's not open. When I pull up her IMDb, she did a couple shorts, and then she did Monster, which was a huge hit and got critical acclaim for sure. And then after that was in 2003, all the way up until she did Wonder Woman in 2017. She did nothing but a few episodes of TV and a couple made for TV movies. That's it. Like, that's 15 years or 14 years that she didn't do anything, which led up to Wonder Woman. Great movie, right? But then she really didn't do anything. She did a couple episodes of TV leading up to Wonder Woman 1984. Now she's not doing Wonder Woman 3. So it's like, what does that mean for Patty Jenkins? Her schedule's wide open. You want
me to keep it real right now? I don't think Patty Jenkins is all that good of a director. I mean,
have you seen Monster?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a long time ago. And I know like Charlize Theron won the award for Best Actor, but that to me doesn't necessarily mean it's a great movie.
True.
But then when I look at like the blockbuster stuff, like I did like the first Wonder Woman. And when I saw the announcement for Rogue Squadron, I was like, that's cool. I love how they did this. It's personal to her. I like when people really want to be here, like when it comes to like making Star Wars and stuff like that. Wonder Woman 84, I think, was really, really bad. Really, really bad. And I think it's one of those things where it's like the Colin Trevorrow thing. It's like, oof, how do we get out of this one now? And the same things that we were hearing recently about, she didn't want to rewrite the script for Wonder Woman, and they had feedback on what they were looking to do. And it's all this big mess because there were other people in charge when that was happening. And now James Gunn comes in and he's tasked with like rebooting DC. And it's like having one hand in this jar over here, which is the past. And what does that mean? Is that Aquaman? Is that Wonder Woman? Is that Henry Cavill, Superman? And then over here, it's like the future. We got to reboot this thing. And that's really difficult to do. I don't think I want Rogue Squadron anymore at this point. I don't know that I trust her as in a big movie like this. And there were similar talks about the rewriting of Rogue Squadron too. So my take on this is I wish her the best, and I hope she makes great movies, and maybe like stuff like Monster, which is more like low budget but more artistic based filmmaking might be more up her speed because she was able to direct someone to a Best Actress Oscar, which is a huge deal. But even when I rewatched the first Wonder Woman not that long ago, I thought some of the directing choices, now that I look at it, were pretty cheesy, especially on the island where the goddesses are. I was like picturing like Matrix-y style shots of X-Wings, and I don't know that, especially after Top Gun, like, I don't know.
I like the first Wonder Woman, except for it falls apart in the third act, and that's the only thing that like I didn't like how that third act and how the movie ended, but everything leading up to that, I was like, wow, this is actually really good.
This is an unpopular opinion, I'm sure. I would prefer, let's just do what they're planning and say no thanks on Rogue Squadron, no thanks on Patty Jenkins, and we'll move on. No one's hurt here. They didn't make the film or anything like that. It's not a Batgirl situation where they made the film and just aren't putting it out. Let's go our separate ways. Let Patty Jenkins, like Rian Johnson, go off, do some awesome stuff. Maybe come back one day, but I think this Rogue Squadron thing is so clouded now in like negativity and doubt that coming back to that, especially after this news about Wonder Woman 3, is a bad idea for Lucasfilm, especially with their track record with movies stumbling. So I think I think they should, which it sounds like they're doing, is keeping like shutting that down.
Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts, Lacey, on Patty Jenkins?
I mean, I pretty much said my piece. I don't agree with John. I think she is a good director. I think she killed Wonder Woman 1. I can't speak on 1984. I haven't seen it. I liked all her choices that she made. So I was very much looking forward to her doing a Star Wars movie, and I'm disappointed that it's not happening. But I also trust that the people in charge, whether it be Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, James Gunn, there's a reason those people are in those positions, and there's a reason why they make those choices. At the end of the day, it's a business. They have to make money. And if something's not going to make money and then something's not going to do well, whether you like the person or not, it's not going to go forward. So it just sucks because there's people and characters and ideas that are tied to these things that it's painful to hear someone be like, oh yeah, she submitted a draft and then it just kind of got thrown in the trash. Like, because there's so much attached to it.
Yeah, but I mean, that happens all the time in Hollywood. People
and all of those situations suck.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that this one's hurts more than any other, because I'm sure over the years, we know from Zack Snyder as well, like there have been numerous pitches to Lucasfilm that just haven't gone through. So yeah, I hope she ends up kind of getting back up and figuring out what's next. But I don't know what that is for her. I would hope that it would be like, hey, Lucasfilm, let's rework what we're doing. But I think they're just going to walk away, sadly.
I also want to throw out too that this still goes back to my whole thing of like the Top Gun Maverick comparison. And
I agree with you. When you said that after we watched the trailer, like we were literally walking out of the movie theater with James and he said this and I was like, ooh, yeah.
It still kind of hits me that even though so say you're Lucasfilm and you're kind of in that position, you're like, all right, we're not moving forward with it for this reason because, and a big thing is she's connected with Wonder Woman 3. She's going to be busy with that. It's just not working out. Even if Wonder Woman 3 opens up, I still think you're in that position where you're like, we are Star Wars. And our Star Wars movie is going to get compared to Top Gun, and
Top Gun was perfect.
I know. The only way we're going to be able to beat this is if we absolutely 100% knock it out of the park. Who's helming it? 1984 director Patty Jenkins, who's done 3 movies total.
But I agree with that, but Star Wars should never try to be like other things. Other things should try to be like Star Wars. Just get people to make good Star Wars.
Speaking I don't like of the good idea Star Wars,
people want to change.
I hear there's some good Star Wars that just released.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get into it right now. We see that the footage for Jedi Survivor is out, so we are going to react to it right now, live.
We've never done this before.
Never done the show.
So yeah, this is our first live reaction. So James is going to cue it up. We're going to watch it and give our thoughts on it. Here we go.
All right, so let's get rid of that guy and switch over to...
So I have to give this game another try. I found it very hard to play, personally. I love Battlefront because it's a lot of like, I'm just going to kill stuff. This one, like, you have to memorize moves. But yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. I also like to the wormhole of like our video that we're on right now suggested in this tab.
Oh, right.
So we can like wormhole it and it just loops forever. All right, here we go, guys.
Oh,
yeah. The order is gone. I was betrayed by the one I trusted most. I will not be imprisoned again.
I love BD.
I got to keep remembering this is a game.
I hear you've been busy making yourself the Empire's most wanted.
Deborah Wilson back.
Ooh. Whoa.
A Jedi. Remind our friend here why his kind are supposed to be dead.
I just get tingles anytime someone goes, it's a Jedi. I'm like, ooh, say it again.
After all we've done.
Is it a Wampa? A brown Wampa?
I don't know, yeah.
That looks like a brown Wampa. This reminds me of the prequels a little bit,
Troopers.
Thanks,
is that Brasso?
Looks like Brasso. Oh, look at that move.
Wow, so like, yeah.
The Jedi is a threat.
He's so attractive as a video game character.
We have this.
Yeah, he's got that Han Solo thing going on.
As long as we fight.
Whoa.
It's very Spider-Man. What was that?
Oh.
Whoa.
They did the Ezra thing. Yeah.
You know what's funny? No matter how good I get at this game, it will never look like that when I play it.
Can we watch it back one more time?
Easy. Yeah.
I'll be the guy jumping into the wall. Yeah.
I was surprised by the brown Wampa. I've never seen a brown one before.
It's a Brampa.
Yeah, I mean, assuming that's what it is, but yeah, it looks like some sort of variant or something. And
I love how all that stuff happens, and I'm just like, the Wampa though.
yeah, it's crazy stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Are we supposed to know who some of these people are? Like that always takes me up. Like is it a character from like
I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Or like
there were definitely some High Republic robes in there, by the way. Did you guys see that?
Oh, in the guys he's fighting, it looked like they were like High Republic droids, sort of.
Yeah.
If you go back through, we can kind of walk through it a little bit, but there's definitely some like JETTA High Republic kind of gold robes. It's like with the big kind of bulky guy, and then he's talking to a guy with High Republic robes on.
Yeah, are you talking about this thing? No.
Yes, that thing, but later in the trailer.
There was like this trailer was like 90% lightsaber action.
I approve.
Yeah.
You'd have to play it through one more time, I guess.
We'll figure it out.
Just turn the sound off and we can play it through while we're talking. Yeah, so I love his new outfit. Like the vest with the fold down flap, kind of like Luke Skywalker, Return of the Jedi. Yeah. I love that look. I'm all about it.
And it's definitely some sort of formidable armor because that electro staff hit him in the chest and he seemed fine.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Do you know who this guy is? I don't know who that guy is, to be honest.
So
some of them look like from Avatar. I know it's very topical right now, but it's crazy.
So I don't know who this is, and it might just be a new character. He was saying, I was betrayed by the Jedi. So I'm assuming he was a Padawan and watched this happen or something. Maybe he just has a different opinion of what happened with Order 66.
Maybe. All I gotta
Hmm.
say is March is gonna be bananas. So you've got Bad Batch playing through March, you've got Mando playing through March, you've got this
Yeah.
coming out in March. I think the book for this comes out in March as well.
And what's
Star
this,
Wars
March
fans
17th?
are Star
St.
Wars fans
Patrick's
are
Day.
gonna be busy.
Yeah, Celebration is going to have a lot to talk about in retrospect, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I wonder if they're going to have stuff at Celebration like stations where you can go play the game on the floor and stuff.
Oh,
That'd be
probably
kinda cool.
100%.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a demo, of
Oh
course.
my god, I
What do you
love
think of
that.
this?
Well, that's cool, but the scene before it where he takes the stormtrooper and holds the stormtrooper up and the stormtrooper's shooting
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Right.
Is the Jedi archives?
Yeah. Right here where he's holding. I love that.
That is pretty good.
I think that the cool creature, and it obviously shows him running on it too. That
Looks like a chicken.
that seems a lot of fun. He just killed a clone droid or a battle droid. I mean,
Battle droid, yeah.
Yep. Roger.
that's interesting. He's also flying
This
on a
game looks
pterodactyl.
beautiful. Yeah, this game looks beautiful though. Like very, very pretty. I wonder where this place is. Looks very Mando-esque.
What does that say
Mhm.
up there? Is that Arabesh?
Yeah.
Does it say breakfast Ronto wraps by any chance? Because I have interest. Just saying. You know?
Dendret? Dendras?
I love a good Rondo rep.
Dendrus?
Ronto rep.
Dendrus?
Might be ready. I think it's DENDRAS.
That means nothing to me.
I know it doesn't.
Hmm.
It might
All right,
just
let's
be the
hit
name
play.
of like Dendrus's pub and that, or something like that.
Well,
in the
play
background.
play through it. Let's finish up this rewatch and then give our final thoughts.
I'm gonna enjoy watching people play this game. We might have to get a copy and play it through. Although again,
could be fun.
I'm not. I feel like I'm not skilled enough to play a game like this.
Was that a ship that just fell apart? Is that his ship?
It looked like the building.
It almost looked
Yeah,
like
it
a
looks
YT
like the
freighter.
Wampa. The Wampa landed on or jumped off of the top of that.
Yeah, and knocked it apart. Yeah,
Oh man, yeah, that's
That
definitely a
looks like it
Wampa.
hurts.
he just Hulk smashed him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So these
And what-
guys, those are the things from Mandalorian, are they not?
Yeah,
Which
that's
first
what
appeared in the
video games.
yeah, in the
Oh, the
iOS
Sentinels. The
game.
Sentinels.
Yeah.
Right? Sentinel.
Dark
things?
Troopers.
Dark
No?
Troop. I don't know what they called them in Mandalorian.
Oh,
but
maybe
they
Dark
were in
Troopers,
Legends,
yeah.
Dark Troopers, yeah.
Yeah. Stand
Against the darkness. So this guy, I don't know.
He
Why
looks
am
like a rebel pilot or something.
Yeah, he reminds me of who's
Poe
the guy that
Dameron
was
on
like the
steroids.
Han Solo Legends character. Is that Kyle Katarn?
Oh,
Han Solo
maybe.
Legends character?
Or no,
You're talking about the
Dash
guy from
Rendar.
Shadows of the Empire? Yeah, Dash Rendar.
That's who I'm thinking of. Yeah,
No, I mean this is like
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah,
It looks like if Poe and Brasso had a baby.
yeah.
But
I like this roll move. Yeah.
Part of the job, Kestis. So they're not revealing his name.
Bang! Kick in the
Dang,
face.
that thing looks
MMA.
crazy.
Looks
Yeah.
like a Triceratops. It looks too sweet though. That creature looks too sweet to be killing though.
Right there. High Republic robes.
Ooh,
It kind of does, yeah.
That's a good point. And this is the person from the opening.
Oh, maybe he's having a flashback or something.
No,
Oh, you
this
think
is a person who was put in that status chamber back in the High Republic, and Cal Kestis is just now releasing him. I bet you.
Oh.
This is what he
Hmm.
wore when he went into that chamber, and he says,
Oh,
"I've been
so you
betrayed
think
by the
those
Jedi."
guys are Jedi hunters? Like that crew, like this big guy and his buddies are Jedi hunters?
No, I'm thinking this guy was Jedi.
No. The guy behind him and
Yeah.
his group of people that all have matching uniforms are Jedi
Yeah.
hunters.
Yeah, but they clearly work for this guy too.
Yeah.
And Ronald McDonald.
Interesting. What?
Looks like Grimace, the guy in the back.
Because he's purple?
Yep, purple and
Yeah.
bald and big.
So you went with Grimace and not
That shot
Thanos.
right there where he's
Thanos,
using like
yeah.
kind of like a Gatling gun like Batman, it looks very Spider-Man to me. This literally is the Spider-Man tech they use for the Spider-Man games.
yeah.
Yeah. Also Arkham City, the Batman game.
Yeah, it's like the shoot
Are
wrap
those
around
those
thing.
the cross guards look like skinnier than the normal blade? Like Kylo Ren's, all three are the same. These like unless
Yes.
it's the angle, but they look
It looks like
like
it only goes up, not all the way around. Like Kylo Ren's shoots out both sides and it's a solid blade, whereas this one it looks like it's only coming from the top of it. So it won't
interesting.
touch his hand,
But
but it
Oh,
guards.
like a grill, like a burner on a grill.
Right.
Yeah.
This scene reminds me of the Rebels trailer where you see Ezra light that up and it pops out the side and everybody was like, "Oh my god, like Kylo Ren's
That's a good point.
guard."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It has the same feel of him like turning it on and then like,
And don't
he's
forget,
surprised.
I remember Harloff was saying that he heard from a credible source that this guy may even get his own series. So this game could like really be some sort of launching point if that ends up being true too. So it's a good thing to focus on the story mode alone, even if people aren't interested in playing or something. It's going to be something to keep an eye on. But very cool, very cool. Any final thoughts before we end this reaction?
No, I
I'm
just can't wait to see where this game goes.
Yeah, like I said, I
Yeah.
think that's obviously that character. He says, "I'll not be imprisoned again." And I think you have a good point with the High Republic robes. I bet that guy's been in stasis lock or whatever, whatever you want to say, for a couple hundred years or something, maybe.
Wow. That would be
I don't know. That's
I'm
a wild
loving
guess.
how they're
Like, I don't know
linking everything
how that
together
works
though.
in Star Wars, but
Yeah, no, I'm loving how they're linking everything together though. It's very cool.
Yeah,
Very
very
cool.
cool. Very cool.
Awesome,
Good
guys.
stuff.
Thanks for watching with us. That was so fun.
Yeah, appreciate it. If you're watching this just as itself, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. But onward we go to more Star Wars talk. James, we have more stories, right?
yes. I had to close that window, so I'm pulling it up. The next story on our list, though, is that the Mandalorian. We're talking Mandalorian. Get ready, guys, because it's coming.
Oh my
It's
god.
on its way.
Yes.
Mandalorian season 3 is happening, and the writers of Mandalorian season 3 have been revealed. Now, where did this come out? Was this this was a Writers Guild website, official website? So it's kind of interesting how it was released.
Yes. Yeah, it was the Writers Guild of America website. Though
It's
I'm
kind of like
seeing,
IMDb, but just for writing credits.
I could be wrong, but it looks like they may have on their site removed the list of writers. But I should still
It
be
was
able
there
to
earlier because I definitely read through it. It's basically Jon Favreau, Noah Knoll, I think is his name. No, not Noah Core, I think is his name. And then there's 2 episodes that Dave Filoni's doing.
Yeah.
But the whole
Yeah.
thing just says Jon Favreau, Jon Favreau, Jon Favreau, Jon Favreau.
Mhm.
Right. And as it should, this has been his thing for forever, and it's his creation. It was his idea. He wanted to do Boba Fett, and Kathleen Kennedy said, we're already actioning something with Boba Fett, and he just came up with this new idea with this brand new character, and it's his baby. So I think I think because a lot of TV shows, you'll have your showrunners and you'll have like main writers for your first 2 seasons. But then if the show's a success, those writers usually get picked up or get to do their own things and they move. And a lot of times the tone and feel of a show really changes because you get different writers in there. That happens a lot with sitcoms and stuff and other series as well. So the fact that we're preserving this continuity, and it's not just doing that, it's Jon Favreau, one of the best filmmakers out there today. He can do independent films like the Swingers and Chef, but then he could do big time stuff like Iron Man and Elf comedy. He can do anything. He's very
Which Elf
good
wasn't a big time
storyteller.
thing. It wasn't expected to do what it did.
It wasn't expected to be, but it was. Yeah, one of the
Mhm.
best. What's a classic now by many accounts. Noah Clore, I'll admit, the name didn't ring a bell to me.
Clore. Oh
So-
my god. I said Knoll, like John Knoll, and then I said Core.
Yeah, so well, it's a little blend. That's all right. So it looks like he did some writing for the Book of Boba Fett
And
Um,
Mandalorian.
and
Seasons
the
1 and 2.
Mandalorian. I'm not seeing
That's what
that.
I remember when I looked up his IMDb.
The only big projects he's worked on is the Chef
He did
Show
not write
with
them.
Jon Favreau, and then he moved over to the Book of Boba Fett, and now he does Mandalorian now. He didn't do Mandalorian before that.
Right.
He
Yeah,
only
he
did Book of
did.
Boba Fett.
He was a staff writer for the Book of Boba Fett, so I don't know
And he
exactly
worked
what
on
that
the
means.
Chef
but-
Show on
Mhm.
Netflix with Jon Favreau, and that's how I believe Jon Favreau met him.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, he worked on Book of Boba Fett. Say what you want about that. But yeah, he did. Yeah, worked on the Chef Show and a lot of his other stuff. A little bit under the radar, but I trust Jon Favreau, and I think he's a loyal guy, and but I don't think he'll bring in people just to be nice. He's not that kind of creator. So we'll see what he brings to the table. But again, you're looking at your typical Filoni 1 or 2 episodes, right? So episode 4 and episode 7. So maybe episode 7 is going to be that sort of Ahsoka launching point, and then they focus the finale back on just the Mandalorian and round out that story. I think that makes a lot of sense. But I don't want to get too into the weeds on this because I don't like to give attention to negativity, but I saw a lot of people complaining about that Jon Favreau's, doing all the main writing for his own series. And I just don't understand that. People didn't see, and people seem to have issues with all of a sudden Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. And I find that strange because then I can't help but think that the same people who are complaining about that are going to be the ones saying that they're vomiting and screaming on Twitter when The Mandalorian comes out. So it's just, these guys have made an incredible show. It paved the way to allow things like Andor to exist, because if The Mandalorian wasn't a success, they may have had to rethink the whole thing. So this series will always be more special than the rest, just how a lot of people see A New Hope that way. Empire is my favorite Star Wars movie, but if A New Hope didn't wow people, George Lucas doesn't have enough money to make Empire Strikes Back, and Star Wars ends with those medals at the end of the first movie. So this is a big deal, and I like seeing Jon Favreau's name all over this because he knows the story he wants to tell. You saw the clip of him at the Brazil Comic-Con. He's very passionate about this. He loves that the crew is behind him. They preserve the secrets. He said there's more surprises to come. When people show that they are passionate and want to be doing what they're doing in Star Wars, it means a great deal to me as a fan. And then you got Dave Filoni right there with him. They're an unstoppable duo, in my opinion. And this feels secure. This feels safe. I know we're getting the Mandalorian when we're getting it. It's going to be very solid, if not better than ever. And we know there's not going to be problems. And I'm really, really looking forward to stepping back into that series again. It feels like it's the right time. It's been forever since we were in the midst of that pandemic, like the heart of the pandemic when it ended with season 2. And we get a little taste of it in Book of Boba Fett to get our appetites going again. And now we're finally getting
Which was
back.
everybody's favorite episode, by the way.
Yeah, and we're gonna be in London in the middle of this thing. So there's gonna be so much to talk about.
So we're gonna get to watch a new episode together for once.
If we get Wednesday, we're gonna be there, right? So that's true. So we'll be able to do like a live. Yeah, we'll figure it out. But anyway, I'm really excited. I'm just so pumped about this.
I wanted to point out too, just so, because I know you mentioned that Jon Favreau had done most of the writing for his own series. He has written every episode of season 1 and season 2 except for Dave Filoni wrote The Gunslinger. A handful of people wrote The Prisoner. So that's episodes 5 and 6 from season 1. And then he did not write The Jedi, which is the Ahsoka episode in season 2. And he did not write The Believer, which is chapter 15, the episode right before the finale.
Famuyiwa, right? Season
2. That was Famuyiwa, yeah. So he has pretty much written the bulk of the series. And I also wanted to point out too, I was absolutely wrong on Noah, but I was confused because he did write for the Book of Boba Fett, but he was additional crew for every episode of The Mandalorian. He was not a writer, he was crew. Which is interesting.
He worked his way up. Yeah.
And and that's like really the only thing he's done. I mean, there's a couple like random things that he, like short stories he's written or whatever, but you think you got that additional crew job. He did 2 seasons of that. Then he got bumped up to being a staff writer on the Book of Boba Fett. And now he's like one of official writers, like co-writing in season 3 of The Mandalorian, dude clearly knows who to talk to and how to move his way up. And he's apparently doing a good job because people like Jon Favreau are starting to give him writing credit, So it's like,
Right. And we have to
congrats.
consider also that he got a writing credit. It might be one idea that Jon Favreau used. Like, that's what people have to realize. It's like he didn't maybe write the whole episode. Maybe he added to one scene. Maybe he added a certain element. But that being said, I think, some of the reactions people had on this online of who's writing this being like, oh, I wish they'd add more writers or they'd do this. Like, I didn't see people saying that about Andor. I didn't see people saying that about other projects. So I'm not sure why people on a regular basis are saying that about Jon Favreau. Like, it seems like, okay, if you're going to say it one, you have to say it for all of them.
Weren't there people saying Jon Favreau can't write women, and then last week we see Ming-Na Wen thanking Jon Favreau because she won a Saturn Award for best performance in Book of Boba Fett. Like, and
yeah, I think people pick and choose to be angry, and that's fine. I personally stand by my statement of, regardless of what's come out since The Mandalorian is still my favorite live action series. It is some of my favorite Star Wars ever. I love The Mandalorian. It is one of my favorite things in the Star Wars galaxy. And despite what's come out after that, my opinion of that hasn't changed. And I think that there's definitely been kind of this conversation surrounding The Mandalorian and Andor and other things within the universe of, oh, if you like this, you can't like this. Oh, that's not how it is. And that being said, everything that we love about The Mandalorian, what it is, all the feelings we have about it, how popular it is, you can't deny how good this story is, and that's due to Jon Favreau. Like, him sticking by what he wants to do, how he wants to do it, who he wants to do it with. Those were all his decisions along the way. He made those choices, he stood by them, and that's why that show is so successful. And if you're going to say that same kind of sentiment with Rian Johnson, that he stood by those choices and you love what he did with Star Wars there, you also have to respect those with other creators like Jon Favreau or whoever. I love that Jon Favreau is writing every episode. I love that he's still involved. I see this as his kind of brainchild, his thing. And the fact that he went to Kathleen Kennedy and was like, I want to do Boba Fett. And they were like, you can't. And then he created this whole new universe for himself and has been saying like, hey, this is like me playing in a sandbox with my toys. People have been criticizing that. I love it. That's what I love about Star Wars. I love that it's childlike. I love that you're going to another world and that it's an escape. That's why I love this franchise. So I guess I'm missing something because I see people being like, oh, well, that's not what it should be about. That's what I like. And I can't wait to see where this season's going to take us. Jon Favreau can do whatever he wants in Star Wars. Same with Dave Filoni. They are absolutely perfect in my book. And I love every choice they've made so far. So I trust that they're going to make what's right for their characters. And I've enjoyed everything. There's nothing that the only thing I didn't like was spiders, and that's because I don't like spiders, not because they wrote them terribly.
If you're like, I couldn't handle this episode. It's great.
So James, what do you think?
I mean, there's not much to say. As far as Jon Favreau writing the series, I'm absolutely 100% down with him. And
your tweet was great. The Return of the Jedi thing, that was amazing that you tweeted. People got to go see your Twitter account and see that clip of those guys doing that stuff. And your point about it was right on.
And I mean, you're going to get a splash of Dave Filoni and this other stuff. So I think that the writers being who they are absolutely fine. Another thing that comes down to is like, yeah, you can write the show, let someone write the show. That's fine. Get that idea. I mean, people complain about that with the sequel trilogy as well. Like, let one person write it or get your idea across, whatever you want to do. Let that visionary be what it is. And
I'm that person. I've definitely said that about the sequel trilogy. Let the one person tell their story. Yeah.
If you then want the flavor, that's going to come down to when all the directors get revealed, for season 3. So then we'll be like, okay, Bryce Dallas Howard's back. We're going to get that episode and stuff. That's where you're going to get your variation in style and stuff. But let the story be the story, because ultimately we want Mando to be on the journey that's being told by Jon Favreau, the creator of the character. So it's
and Favreau's not like calling in to ask people to send him dailies to look at. He is on set, hands in the clay. Like that's what has made, even with all the different directors, what has made Mando feel the same. Like you look at it and you're like, I could see that's the Mandalorian. That's what that show is. And just if you call yourself a Star Wars fan and stuff like that, like don't take this lazy thing of pitting Star Wars against other Star Wars. There's plenty of other crap out there that you can say Andor was better than blank, and it doesn't have to be another Star Wars project. There's a lot of crap being made today. Go beat up something else. You don't have to like
the Noel
try to
Diary on
Star Wars.
Netflix is absolutely terrible if you want to watch it. I watched it last night. As someone from Connecticut, it takes place in Connecticut. This guy lives in this really nice house, and he was like, "Oh, I live in Bridgeport." I was like, "No, you do not." Ends up they filmed it in Westport. Makes sense. And I was just like, okay, that seems legit.
I did my own like terrible movie journey. I was like, I had to choose. You get so many barriers, and I'm like, okay, well, I can't watch something that I want to watch because I think Rachel wants to watch because she's not here. Bennett's here.
You get stuck in that box.
So I can't watch something that is inappropriate for him. Okay, but it can't be something for him because I need him to focus on what he's doing, or else he'll just watch TV. So it's got to be something that I'm interested in. That and there was all these barriers. You know what I landed on? Pun intended, or pun unintentional, I guess. Land of the Lost, the 2009 Will Ferrell movie, and boy,
forgot about
not
that.
good.
Yeah, no, it isn't.
I was like, this is rough, and I'm okay with having missed this one.
You know what is good? Wednesday. Everyone go watch it. It is amazing.
Well, I thought about that, but that's actually I can watch it because I think my wife is watching it without me. She didn't know I was interested, so
I started it. Yeah, I put it on the background though. I got to pay more attention to it.
But speaking of shows that I want to watch that maybe not everybody else in my family or household wants to watch, The Bad Batch is getting ready to gear up on season 2, and we just got that trailer. I thought I did the trailer reaction. I have talked a little bit about that with you guys. I don't know if you want me to start this or what do you guys have to say about?
Oh, go ahead, man.
I mean, I don't really have a whole lot. We already saw one trailer, and this trailer to me didn't like particularly reveal anything crazy about the second season. It was a little bit more of just like, okay, yep, that all looks like the Bad Batch. And since they already did that teaser a couple months ago, it felt like all those things had sort of been revealed. Like we'd seen some of the new planets, we'd seen sort of the new outfits. We kind of got a vibe for where it was going. So this trailer was fine, but it didn't, I don't think it did anything that was like, oh my gosh. Like even in that first trailer, we got Palpatine. So when Palpatine's in this trailer, I'm like, it wasn't a big reveal or anything,
Yeah. So the writer of Bad Batch, Jennifer Corbett, did put up a bunch of tweets this week about it, and she says that you're getting a 2-episode premiere, 2-episode mid-season, and a 2-episode finale, and it starts on January 4th. James, did you get a chance to look at any of those titles? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I did, but only loosely. Yeah, I forgot to mention that because we just talked about the writer reveals of Mandalorian season 3. They released all of the titles for every episode for Bad Batch.
They did.
Like,
so they have Spoils of War, Ruins of War, The Solitary Clone, Faster, Entombed, Tribe, The Clone Conspiracy, Truth and Consequences, The Crossing, Retrieval, Metamorphosis, The Outpost, Pabu, Tipping Point, The Summit, and Plan 99, which I saw some people chatting online that Plan 99 is reversing Order 66. So the 99 is flipping the 66 upside down.
But like that's just speculation. That's not enough.
Yes, that's what people are discussing online. So they were saying like, oh, you're flipping 99 or flipping 66 to 99. You're trying to like get clones back to being who they were.
Possibly, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
That title to me makes it seem like this is it.
Yes, it also makes me think that when I saw the titles, that was one thing that I took away was that it seemed like this might be Bad Batch season 2, and it's pulling like a Resistance, like this is going to be it. And the other takeaway that I had from it was all of the titles seem very vague. Like it's like I don't know what that's supposed to be. The only one that I will say this: watching this trailer made me sort of double down that they will get Crosshair back as an ally, and it could be that episode that's 3 from the end. That's called Tipping Point. I think the tipping point might be him, having the gun point to the good guys, and then he turns and kills the bad guys, and it's like, oh, okay, he finally snapped out of it, and that then would give 2 episodes of him with the team to finish the show and finale and all that. And so that's my only speculation on the titles that were released.
Yeah. Some people are talking about the Gungi thing. That was the big exciting moment for people from the trailer.
Which was in the first trailer too.
Yes, it was.
So it was a lot of stuff that I was like, we'd seen all this.
I don't know if I like Wookiee Jedi. I don't know if I like that.
Why?
So let me ask you guys, does he die?
I think he does. I think Dave Filoni's
in this show.
I think they're about to be like, sorry, you're out. They like to take cute characters and make you feel for them and then take them all away.
I don't know. This is based on really nothing except just my speculation on this, but I think the purpose of this series, I'm not sure like how well like the first series was watched. I'd have to like look back on that. I think it was mostly received well. I think people liked it, but I also think people are ready to close the book on clones, especially this, the animated thing. We've had 7 seasons of Clone Wars, 2 seasons of Bad Batch. I think maybe, and again, it's just speculation, the purpose of the goal or whatever the purpose of this series and this season is to end that story, because you see Palpatine, and it sounds like Ian McDiarmid is back again, which is cool. But it sounds like I forget what his line was, but it sounded like something like to start anew or the new plan or something like that. And I can't help but think like that's him saying like I want to do away with all the clones, and now that I have all these new stormtroopers or troopers or whatever, like it's almost like the transition over so that the original trilogy makes sense because we don't have any clones in the original trilogy. So
we also have a couple of clones that are in Rebels that they never showed. They've not shown at any point when those clones were snapped out of it. Does that make sense?
Right.
So some of these transmissions that we see in the trailer from Rex, where he's like, "Hey, I got a special favor to ask," it's like it could theoretically be that. But I also want to go back to the Gungi thing because I had a random theory after I watched the trailer, and I said it in the video. Is it
Gungi or Gungi?
I think it's Gungi.
I think it's Gungi also.
Isn't his last name Buriaga?
Buriaga.
No,
that's the High Republic Wookiee?
That's the High Republic Wookiee. Never mind. I got really excited.
I was correcting the way it was pronounced, but I wasn't putting together that it's not even the same person. I think it's is he the one that's also Buriaga Yagaburi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I love it.
All right. I don't know that they will kill him in this show, but that he is alive past Order 66 might line up with how they could possibly put him in Jedi Survivor. Does that make sense?
Maybe.
So Gungi shows up in the Bad Batch, and then shortly after that, when Jedi Survivor drops, you see Cal meet up with Gungi at some point. He's in the game. You don't like that? He was also a Jedi Survivor.
I know I'm coming across as negative here, but it's just like the Jedi were supposed to be pretty sparse, and we keep creating new Jedi around this time period, and it sucks, in my opinion.
I don't disagree with that, but they're showing him, so I'm speculating on.
I know, but
I'm like,
it's supposed to be like Obi-Wan
in and make this thing.
It's supposed to be like the last. And we keep creating new characters.
Well, he can die in Jedi Survivor. My point
he just isn't
dying in That does suck though. You make a game called Jedi Survivor. You meet a Jedi who is a survivor, and then you kill him.
You're gonna kill him.
And then you kill him.
Does not survive. It
Yeah.
just comes across the screen like what's that car game? Blanking. The car video game.
Grand
Where you
Theft
steal
Auto.
Grand Theft Auto, where it's like wasted. It just comes
Yeah.
across the screen.
Yeah. Yep.
Force Ghost.
I mean, I'm gonna watch it. I watched most of season 1. I don't think I saw every episode, but I'm gonna watch it and see how it ends out. I think it's gonna be fun, and it looks really good. And if Kevin Kiner is doing music for it, I think that's always a good thing. So it's cool.
Yeah,
Yep.
Kevin
All
Kiner's
right.
awesome.
John, do you want to take us into the next section? Because that's the end of the Resistance Report this week.
I'm gonna hand this over to Lacey. I think Lacey's gonna pop her Will of the Force cherry.
All right, Lacey.
I refuse to take the segment after you just said that. No. Mm-mm.
All right, well,
All right,
then-
guys, it is time for Will of the Force.
Yeah.
I fear nothing, for all is as the Force wills it.
Right. All right. So this is the part of the show where we have questions. We ask each other, well, I ask the group questions, will not, and our answers have to have will or will not in them. And we go into why. So this week, we actually have some awesome submissions from our Patreon. So really quick, I'm going to plug a little bit. If you like what we're doing here, you want to support the Resistance broadcast, us loving Star Wars, talking about other things in pop culture and everything that's to come for seemingly the rest of this year, which is only a couple weeks. Oh my gosh. Into next year, which is tons of Star Wars content and much more. You can head over to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. Starting at just $5 a month, you get to take part in the community there, which we have a lot of those people in the chat as well. And we have a Discord server, exclusive content, live streams, Q&As, and much, much more. So as part of this show, we let them take part in the show. And before that, I'm also going to thank a couple other people before we get to the actual questions. So we have some top tiers too, our generals and our spice runners that get thanked in the show. So we want to give those thanks to those people. So thank you to our generals, CARMELO, John RISI, JETTA Rosewater, Frank Grande, DARTH HURICANE, Nick KRATZ, Christian Morales, Brian Smith, Matt Chitty, DANI, Mike Mori, Matt Heath, Chris White, Brendan McLaughlin, Count Pepto, Sneaky Zebra, Paul Sullivan, and Aaron Ellington, which I see a bunch of those people in the chat. Welcome. And then we have some of our spice runners: David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall GELNER, Ryan WAARA, who's in the chat, Dave HORNAK, saw you in there, Indy Dave, Thomas Hennessy, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, and Michael Fry. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Patreon community and a part of what we do here. We're really excited to have you. So getting into this, we do have our submissions starting at just $5. Like I said, you get to be a part of the show and kind of like determine what we talk about, which is really cool. So we're going to kick it off with a Patreon submission from Commander Joey Sack. What's up, Joey? He asks, will Grogu speak in season 3 of The Mandalorian? So I'm going to start with John. Your thoughts?
I thought he was going to last season, so I think I have to say yes at this point until it happens. So yeah, I think he is, and I don't know if it's gonna, be like how Mando speaks, like basic, or if he's gonna like pull out his own language here. But because the only two of other
Yaddle
versions we have are
speak-
Yaddle and
Yeah,
Yoda.
doesn't speak
Yeah,
like
Yaddle
Yoda.
speaks normal basic. She sounds
She
a lot
speaks like Bryce Dallas Howard.
Bryce Dallas. She sounds a lot like her, actually. Yeah, but then Yoda obviously has his way of speaking, but also basic. So I think he is. I think it's time. I think maybe they. I hate to say this, but maybe they've run the well dry on Grogu toys, and the next logical choice is Grogu that speaks toy for next Christmas. So I think it's time. I think Grogu is going to speak. Maybe that's one of the surprises Jon Favreau is alluding to. Maybe it's at the end of the series, like Silent Bob just has like a moment. But I think
I can only support Disney so much with all my Grogu purchases. James, what are your thoughts?
I agree with John that I think I was saying he was not going to speak in season 2, but now the time has come, I think. And I think you have good logic there on the toys as well. I do think we're finally going to get to that point where Grogu says something or will have been talking for a little bit. It might be a surprise. And then we're just like used to him saying sentences throughout this season. I don't know, you know what I mean? But I think they want to keep that character fresh. So having it be Baby Yoda for a season, then revealing his name, then revealing that he can walk, and move more on his own in Book of Boba Fett. Then we start to get to he's talking. Like, I think this is a logical progression because I don't know what comes next after the steps I just gave. So, yes.
Awesome. I'm going to agree with these guys. I think Grogu will speak in this season, even if it's one word. I think he's going to say something like Mando, Dad, I don't know, something, because
Dad.
there's
Oh
only
my
so
God.
many noises he can make that are baby noises, and I think we are all getting excited for him to actually speak. Although I have to say, the little Grogu puppet animatronic puppet that they have in Disneyland right now is awesome. And it just makes noises.
Yeah.
That's all it
That's
does. And it's still perfect.
Mhm.
All right. Next up, we have a Patreon submission from Spice Runner Ryan WAARA. What up, Ryan? I think you're in the chat. He says, will we see Mad Mardigan again appear in Willow? They easily had said he died, but specifically didn't. Thinking face. So this is a
point.
little outside Star Wars, but we're heading into Lucasfilm still. And the three of us have watched most of the Willow series so far, but we won't try to
Yes.
talk about any spoilers here. So based on what we've seen so far from episode 1, 2, and 3, do we think Mad Mardigan will appear in Willow?
Who?
It's tough to
me,
say.
you, me?
Either or. I'm looking at James because he's making a funny face.
Yeah. John, go for it.
I'm saying yes. I think
Right?
they clearly made it so that they didn't say he like died, and it's we hear his voice, but I think that was more of like sort of like this dark side conjuring trying to lure them.
When did
I
we see his
think-
voice? It didn't happen yet.
in the flashbacks. We see him in the flashbacks from
Yes.
the movie. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we will, without a doubt, see a cameo of Mad Mardigan. I think they'll use the magic of ILM. We know what they were able to do with the Val documentary, using Val Kilmer's son's voice to speak his words that he wrote himself. And he's been showing his support from the sidelines, saying like rooting for Willow and stuff, which I think is really cool. And I just think you got to. I don't know that he's going to be an integral thing, but being that he's Kit's father and all that stuff, and he was part of protecting Allura in the first movie, and all of that, and they allude to all the decisions he made between Willow and this series, which is also called Willow. I think we will. I think he's gonna show up at some point. It's got to be an ILM, a magical moment from ILM, like they did with like Luke Skywalker. So I think anything's possible nowadays, and it would just feel weird if he wasn't. Not saying he's as precious as a Luke Skywalker or something, but I think to Willow, he is like the Han Solo of Willow, even though they're trying it with Borman and other people. You got to go OG sometimes. So I hope he gets at least some sort of cameo or appearance or something.
James?
Yeah, you are convincing me, John. My initial argument is no. But there's you brought up a lot of good points, and I think the biggest point is probably what Ryan said in the question, that they could have said that he died, but they specifically said that he did not. That's tough to argue against. But I think my biggest thing is like, I know that he was in Maverick, but Val Kilmer is not like showing up for stuff, you know what I mean? And this movie and everything that it was with that Maverick and all that, that's a time to come back. And I don't necessarily know that Val Kilmer is wanting to make his return or anything like that. It could be a special effect, and that's fine if they do it. I'm totally basing this on Val Kilmer, the actor, right now, and I just don't think it's in the cards.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with James on this one. I don't think he's going to appear. I think if we're talking appear as in flashbacks, probably, but I don't think he'll appear himself in Willow. I think that by him making the social posts of like, hey, I support Willow, with old photos of him doing Willow, is him basically saying, "Hey, I'm not in it, but I support what they did."
I saw that as like the trickery, like the bait and switch. Like, let me say this,
No,
and they
I'm
think I'm
saying
not.
I'm seeing it as genuine because it seems like Val Kilmer's a pretty genuine person.
I mean,
Oh, it's genuine. Still, he can still
Yeah.
support it and be genuine, but
I know, but I don't think
Yeah.
he's being sneaky. Is what I'm saying.
I mean, I think the person that says that he's still alive or that he's not dead is known for being a trickery character. So
Right.
Mm.
What's next?
Next is a submission from Commander Charles A. Hey, Charles. He said, "Will Omega and Boba Fett ever cross paths in live action?" This is a good
That was
question. This
weird how
actually
it crossed
came...
over. So you said Willow Mega.
Weird.
Oh,
This is a great question, Charles. We actually asked this to ourselves going into Book of Boba Fett, and it didn't happen. So I'm going to start with James. James, what are your thoughts?
I do not think it will happen. I think that if Boba Fett and Omega are to me, it will be in animation or it will be in some other story, because as soon as they bring it into live action, I mean, it's possible. We kicked it around with, like Lacey said, Boba Fett season 2, or Boba Fett season 1. It was like the third iteration.
Mando 2.5.
Yeah, that thing. But I just don't think there makes a lot of sense to bring Omega into live action, just specifically to tell the story of how it's like his sister from this other show that you probably haven't seen because it's this kid show or whatever, you know?
Right.
And it's like, I know that everything's connected, but unless they really want that to be the plot, and I thought that would be great for the book of Boba Fett, right? Oh, explain it. Yes, that'd be awesome. But they didn't. So now it feels like a subplot and it's not really important to who he is now. I'm going to say no. Not in live action.
John?
I agree. Because of the Book of Boba Fett, sort of like what you're saying, James, like they gave us the build back up to Boba and where he was and all that stuff. And then you would have to like inject Omega into the story after. And it doesn't seem like that would make too much sense. So I don't want anything bad to happen to Omega or anything like that. But I don't think we're going to be seeing any sort of big live action. Like, I don't think there's this huge need. Like, we got to get Omega to, like, it's not like Ahsoka, you know, we got to get Omega in live action. Everyone's dying to see that. I don't think so either.
Yeah, I have to agree with John on this. I don't think it's going to happen. James, did you say it's not going to happen? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Okay, then I agree with both of them. We're agreeing tonight.
You're like, I agree with John. I'm like, darn it.
I don't think they're going to cross paths again. I think you guys make good points. It's a little confusing, and like there's a lot of, I mean, trying to explain to Jon Favreau Omega. I don't know if that's going to happen. And then
I
you
mean,
have like,
Dave probably knows what's going on with that.
yeah, sure. I mean, it could happen. I don't think it will. Last but not least, we have.
I saw a lot of comments in our chat about casting Omega. And do you remember when this was going on and everybody was just putting Omega's like hair on Tamara Morrison? And they're like, live action Omega revealed. And it's like him, it's fully like manly and everything.
Norman Bates.
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least is Christian Morales, General Christian Morales. Thank you so much. Who asks, will Lucasfilm drop a surprise show on Disney Plus of any nature by the end of 2023? I'm assuming a surprise Star Wars show by the end of 2023. No, I'm going to start. No, I don't think they will. I think Disney doesn't like to do surprises. They have plans. They need to make money. They're hurting right now. There's going to be no surprises. They're going to give you ample notice. That's my thought. Guys?
I mean, I'll quickly say no, too, because I don't think Lucasfilm's capable of keeping that level of a surprise. And it's no offense to them, but look at what's happening. Look what happened today with the photos from the Acolyte.
By the way, guys, you're talking in the comments and stuff about how are you guys going to discuss the Acolyte stuff. I haven't seen the photos. I don't want to see the photos. I would like to go into that series fresh, personally. And if it hasn't been released by Lucasfilm or anybody, you know, big trade, I don't want to see it. I want to be surprised. You know, I don't think the creators and producers and writers and Leslie Headland wanted people to see it this way.
Yeah,
So
I think
that's how I feel.
Yeah, we've talked about in-story spoiler stuff before and given warnings and stuff, but in the past, but I never really liked in-story spoilers. Now, if it comes to a trade reporting that this series is being made, that's different to me. That's interesting. I like that. I don't want to know that Luke Skywalker is showing up in Chapter 16 of The Mandalorian, you know? So I think we're going to try to stay away from talking about that type of stuff on the podcast. But
if Lucasfilm releases official photos and stuff, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
I just don't think they're able to secretly make a show today and put it out. So I'm saying no.
So here's the thing. So the question from Christian does say of any nature. So that includes animation and stuff. But I know that it doesn't go down and down and down and down because we're not talking about Grogu and Zen. You know what I mean? That's a short. That's not a show, you know?
Mhm.
And even a show on Disney Plus, technically you could kind of say Visions, but I still don't really consider that a show since they're all separate. So the lowest tier show that they're releasing is probably like an animated show, like Bad Batch, for instance, right? And even those are released week to week. And if you're releasing shows week to week, it's not going to be a surprise. It's not going to be a Netflix drops a movie at midnight, you know, kind of thing. If it's going to be at that level, they are going to promote it. So a surprise dropping on Disney Plus of any nature is going to be a short or less, you know, or a short or in that realm. No shows, no television shows, live action.
Maybe a gallery series for Mando.
Yeah,
like
I mean, you're going to
May
get
4th.
like the Biodome stuff, and they're like, surprise, it's May 4th. These just got revealed, and they're like walkthroughs of sets and stuff. They do that stuff. That's fine, but that's all shorts, and it's not going to be like this big canon story thing that they're revealing, like, surprise, there's a new show. It just dropped.
Right. 100%. All right, guys. Well, that's it for Will of the Force. We're going to head back to John.
All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for listening, watching, being a part of TRB. Thank you all for your support as we've started this new channel, and everyone who has been always listening on our podcast feeds. We're getting close to milestones on both Apple and Spotify for ratings and reviews, so thank you for that. If you haven't yet and you have those two apps, leave us a rating. A 5-star review would be cool. And if you want to write a review, that's awesome too. But most importantly, make sure you are subscribed where you prefer to take the podcast. So tomorrow, if you relate to the video version, of course, every day after these live shows, the podcast is going to be on the podcast feed for you there as always.
Kicking off your weekend early.
Very nicely. Yes. But as far as the channel, we have a lot of stuff that's exclusive to the channel. So make sure you are subscribed to that as well. YouTube.com/@TheResistanceBroadcast. Just hit subscribe, put a notification, and then all of our stuff that we're doing, reactions, reviews, the Willow reviews, all the other fun stuff we have going on the channel will be there. So as much TRB as you want, and we appreciate it very, very much. You can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey. And I have a movie podcast called Just Like the Movies, where we just did Batman Returns, Christmas movie, believe it or not. But I will ask James, where can people find that amazing Return of the Jedi clip you posted today?
You can find it on Twitter and Instagram you can find it just on Twitter at Myra Trunks. You threw me off, John, because I was going to say,
clip.
I don't believe you. Don't believe you about it being a Christmas movie. No, Twitter and Instagram, both at Myra Trunks is where you can find me.
All right. Lacey.
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gilleran and on TikTok at It's Lacey Gilleran.
And we will be back on Monday, where we're going to have an episode all about Harrison Ford in Star Wars. Maybe a little Indiana Jones too. But we're going to be joined by our friends, the movie guys, Paul Preston and Adam Witt. So it's going to be just an awesome nerd fest all about Harrison Ford in Star Wars. So get ready for that. But most importantly, enjoy your weekends. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for loving Star Wars the way we love Star Wars. And we'll see you next time right here on the Resistance Broadcast. See you around, kids.